So part two, guys. You can probably get these Walmart. I got this at Home Depot. Okay. You gotta be very careful around kids. Okay. So what we're doing, don't put these around where kids can get to them and think it's candy. But what we're going to do is we're pulling back the trim, okay, and we're shoving the tablets down in the crevices, because that's where the roaches like to live. That's where the roaches are, in the crevices. And you might want to ask, well, how do I know? Well, because that's where they are, okay? That's where they are. You see that? So they're coming out of these crevices. They can even be up under the seat, okay? It can be under, roaches, they like to find a place to congregate. So as long as it's a nice, quiet, dark place, that's where they will group together. So they can even be up underneath this seat, just relaxing, you know, until it gets nice and quiet. You get out your car and then they start crawling around. So they could be under the seat. But I have seen them come out these crevices. I think that's going to be a better environment for them than, you know, up underneath the seat where there's a lot of, you know, you're moving around activity. But definitely, I think they're in the door jams too. So that's what we're going to do. We're just removing back this weather stripping. I got some gloves on, and we're just dumping 1 or 2 tablets down in between the weather stripping. So I'm gonna go around the car and dump some tablets down into this weather stripping, okay? Also up there's a crack there, so I might put a couple tablets up underneath there. But you want to make sure they don't drop down to the floor where your kids can get them. So let's walk around this car and drop some of these tablets. Guys, we're just gonna pull back this weather stripping. I'm just going to drop a couple, 2 or 3 tablets down. Hopefully when the car moves, they will disperse. You want to make sure they get down there and they're not going to get to where your kids are, okay? Very, very important. Poisonous stuff. You want to make sure when you drop these, they're not going to get where your kids can get to them. Some of these access panels, we don't have to pry them all the way off. Just pry them a little bit so you can drop some tablets down in between these crevices. I only dropped like 2 or 3 down in between these panels. So if you see a panel that you can pry up a little bit, that's a good place where you can drop some of these tablets. Just make sure the kids, they won't drop to the bottom where the kids can get to them. You got to be careful, but sometimes you can pry up your shift. If your shifter's right here, this can pry up. Be careful, don't break any tabs, right? Try not to break any tabs. But sometimes you can pry this up, right? And then we can drop some tablets down there. A few on this side, a few on that side. We can try to just clip this back into place. So that's a good, because definitely they're going to be up underneath that. So if we can get some tablets underneath there, that would be awesome. So we're going to use these sticky traps to monitor our progress, right? Because, you know, as you catch them, they're going to be alive. You'll see them moving. They'll end up dying, right? I suggest, even though you catch a few, keep them in there. It may attract other roaches who are curious. If they see other roaches, definitely they're going to attract other roaches to come by. But we're going to use these to monitor the traps to see if we're catching any new ones. And then we're using that borax. We're baiting. And if you want, you can also throw some roach traps. Like there, you can throw a roach trap in that one and that one. I think I already have a couple roach traps back there. But yeah, now we're just going to use borax and we're just dropping it down some crevices. Wherever we see a crevice, we're trying to just drop one down. I think I may be able to drop a couple of these down that crevice, and on the other side, I don't think they're going to fall all the way to the bottom. So we'll go ahead and drop a few on this side and a few on that side. Not going to drop none in here because this is just a straight hold down, so we're not going to do that. That's an airbag. So this is our 2013 Mini Cooper. you know, I have sprinkled borax acid right down there. I just put a few more of these tablets up underneath here. I just pulled this weather strip and dropped like 5 of them along that path. We do see, you know, we're making progress, right? We're making progress, right? They're dying, slowly making progress. We gotta get all these roaches killed, the majority of them, right? So we're making progress. So I'm gonna go along with this borax acid. I'll just drop down, shoving some of these crevices around the car, pull some of this weather stripping out. I got my little pry to pry some of these panels off and drop some, you know, little pry too. You can get this at any auto parts store. Got this set at Harbor Freights. So start prying some panels down and dropping some of this borax acid. But yeah, we're making progress. We're seeing dead roaches. We're seeing more dead roaches. I haven't seen one alive roach crawling in the last few days, guys. I see in our bait traps, I see a couple. I see one big one and a small one. No, there's a few alive down there. But yeah, let's go around with this bait trap and start baiting this car. Hopefully, this is my first time using it. It looks like it's working. I don't remember seeing all those dead roaches on the carpet. They could have been there. I don't remember seeing them. But it looks like our borax acid is starting to work. Hopefully, something's working, right? So as I was baiting this, I just saw the roach climb up from here. So we know they're up underneath these panels. So I just baited some borax acid up underneath those panels. So we know they're up underneath the panels. So hopefully they eat this stuff and die. And what is that? Is that a roach there? That looks like a roach right there. Yeah, there's a few. You see them on the carpet. There's one there, and there's one there. There's one there. There's one there. Oh yeah, you see that, guys? Where your seat comes up, there is a good place. Where your wire comes up for your seat, that is a good place for the roach trap. So let's do that right now. Shove some bait down there.